Hey guys, Rod here with Blue Star Frenchie, and today I'm shooting a video on a question that I get asked quite a bit is like, why are French Bulldog puppies so expensive? And, I think a lot of times people don't really know what goes into producing a French Bulldog puppy. So I figured I would take today to kind of explain to you what goes into breeding a French Bulldog. So the bully breeders and English Bulldogs will also typically kind of fall in the same realm of things when it comes to breeding their dogs. So I have today my girl Rosie. Rosie is she's about 54 days, 53 days into her pregnancy now. So she is going to be delivering her puppies in about I think 7 days, 6 or 7 days. I gotta look at the paperwork, but so I figured, she was sitting here by my feet, so I figured we'd put her on camera so you guys can check her out. She's our blue fawn female. She carries chocolate and she carries blue. She also has tan points on her. So what I want to go over today is typically, like I kind of just wrote down all the costs that it costs me to produce this litter with her right now. And kind of some of the costs that it's going to cost after the litter is born. Just to kind of give you some sort of an idea of like why French Bulldog puppies are so expensive when you start your search on looking for a French Bulldog puppy. One of the first things that happens with French Bulldogs is French Bulldogs can't naturally breed due to the size of them. So without human interactions, French Bulldogs will go completely extinct. They're more of a man-made dog, so they naturally can't breed because the males are, the body structure of the dogs won't allow them to successfully mount. So because of that, they have to be bred artificially inseminated, which is AI. So I kind of got a list of all the expenses that typically it costs for me to be able to produce the litter here with Rosie. Let me grab it. And I'm just going to kind of go down the list of all the expenses that it costs and just kind of explain to you why. So, and this is typically going to be across the board with most French Bulldog breeders if they breed responsibly and they actually genuinely take care of their animals relatively well and they care about their animals, they're going to experience these exact same costs. So first off, once, Rosie comes into her cycle and she starts bleeding, typically we have to take her into the vet to go get a progesterone test. And that measures it measures the hormone in her body that pretty much gives us the okay of when it's the perfect time to breed once she hits her ovulation cycle. So the progesterone tests are usually about $100 per test. And on average, it's usually 2 to 3 tests. So 2 to 3 tests before breeding, so we can find out when is the most optimum time to breed her. And then there's going to be another 3 tests on the back end, like once we get closer towards her breeding date. It's called a reverse progesterone. That's when they also measure the amount of the hormone in her body to let her know like when she's getting close to going into labor. So that cost for just the progesterone testing on her is $600. So you figure 6 tests, $100 a test, it's $600. Then the stud fee. This is where it really starts to rack that price up. So with French Bulldogs, there's a lot of different studs that you can use out there, but typically you really want to find a stud that's really structurally sound, has a really good health. And I really like the exotic colors in French Bulldogs. So I usually try to look for a particular stud. And I'll watch a stud for years, months. I'll follow his litters. I'll follow the people that buy them just because I want to really see what that dog produces. And because of that, there's travel that's, involved in it. So I might have to fly to somewhere to go meet the dog, which is what we had to do with her. So usually the stud fee that we used for her was $4,500. I know it sounds like a lot, but typically most really good studs, you're going to be looking at the average price of a puppy for a stud fee for your dog. So the stud fee for Rosie was $4,500, which we typically got 3 breedings out of it. We bred every other day for about 3 days. Well, actually it was 4 days we were there. We bred the first day, skipped a day, and then we bred 2 days back to back. So that was the stud fee. That was $4,500. So then we had to go to the breeder's vet that he uses there. We actually flew out to California to use the stud for her. And so the AI, which was done by the vet, was $125 per breeding. So that was 3 days, a total of $375 to have her artificially inseminated. After that, typically about 30 days in, we have to take her in to go get an ultrasound to confirm that she's actually pregnant. So, with the ultrasound, it's another $125 just for that. Once we get the fact that she's confirmed, then at this point, we're going to start to get her on some prenatal vitamins and things like that. And so we're going to start to kind of, get the cost of all of those types of items, right? So the next thing is the C-section. So French Bulldogs, if they are of the correct AKC standard, usually they can't give birth naturally. And you don't want to risk it because typically sometimes the dog's heads are so big, they can get stuck in the birth canal and you can risk losing your female as well as the puppies because they'll get stuck. So, you can get some French Bulldogs that'll actually be able to have puppies naturally, but it's just not something that's really recommended by the breed, the AKC standard, and also veterinarians. So typically with the French Bulldog, she has to be C-section to get her puppies out. So her C-section is going to be $1,500 at the vet that we use. And also, typically like when you're breeding French Bulldogs, English Bulldogs, like you really want to find a vet that's a reproduction specialist. Somebody who really understands the breed and understands all the ins and outs with them, because you can run into a lot of trouble just trying to take the dog to any type of vet. So my repro doctor is an hour and 15 minutes away from where I live. So you're just looking at a round trip of 2.5 hours just to go to this vet. So there's a lot of time that's put into taking her over to the vet. So the C-section for her is going to be $1,500. For the first 2 weeks of the litter, Rosie and the puppies are usually never unattended. So someone is always there. So I have a whelper that comes over and helps us out. So, you're talking about my whelper alone is $600 a week, just to have her sit with the dogs when I'm gone and helping me clean up, because it's a lot of work. I have a full-time job. I own a pressure washing business. And so, usually for the first couple of weeks I stay around the house. I don't leave. I'm kind of there, but I still have my whelper helping me because I'm on the phone taking conference calls and other various different things. So my whelper is usually $600 a week. So at the end of by the time that the puppies are done, I'm usually at about $3,000 just for the whelper. And that person is extremely important. She's helping me clean the dogs, keeping everything very sanitary. And it's extremely important. So I'm at $3,000 with just the whelper. Once the puppies are born, they're healthy, and we're getting ready to start to market them. We have our website, which is bluestarfrenchie.com, as well as other outlets that we use. But usually we have a budget for marketing, which is about $600 per litter that we put in from a marketing perspective. Now, this doesn't go, our website is up, all year long, and we have all our other fees and stuff that go with that. But I'm just basically going off of what's going to be into just her breeding alone. So our marketing expense for her litter will be $600. Usually we have a pretty good wait list, so we don't really use it very much. But I still like to keep it out there just to try to attract new customers and people that may want a French Bulldog in the future. And then once the puppies they're 5 weeks, they're healthy, we go ahead and get them DNA and health tested. And that's usually, these prices are based off of the average French Bulldog litter, which is 4 to 6 puppies. So I'm basing these prices off of 6 puppies. So the DNA and the health test for all of them is usually gonna be about $800, and that's gonna be able to tell us what colors the dog carries. It's gonna give us a full health testing on the animal just to make sure everything is good before they go off to their new home. Then you have the AKC litter registration. All of our dogs are AKC registered. It's usually it's gonna be about $150 if she has 6 puppies. For the AKC litter registration. Then you have your health certificate. So this is when we're taking the entire litter into the vet to get them all health checked, which roughly takes about 15-20 minutes per dog, and we're looking at $75 per dog for the health certificate. This is the individual health certificate for each dog that the vet is saying they're checking, all of their joints, they're checking everything out on each individual puppy. So you're at about $75 a health certificate. So now we're at $450. Now, mind you guys, this is all before we have sold one puppy, all of the expenses that we have to put into producing this litter. How about we slide it over here, Rosie, so maybe the people can see it. So with her litter, we had to fly to California. So the flight to go there was $325. Then it was $110 to take her there and $110 to bring her back, because Delta charges a pet fee for bringing your dog on a plane with you. So our flight just to go down there was $545 just for me to take her. The hotel we stayed at a Holiday Inn Express, so it was about 89 bucks a night. So I think I was around like 389 for the hotel. The rental car was 180 bucks for the 3 days that I was there, 4 days that I was there. The pregnancy supplements. So like once we confirm that she's pregnant, all the supplements that we put her on from like the beginning of the pregnancy to the end of the pregnancy is about $300 in supplements. So like it's very, very important that the dog is on a really good diet, the proper nutrition to ensure that she's healthy as well as the puppies. So like what that cost occurred right there. I mean, we're at, I got it kind of tallied up here at almost $16,000 before we actually sell one puppy. That's $16,000. That's, and you're hoping that the entire litter makes it. There's no mishaps. There's nothing that goes wrong. But just for breeding her and getting her to this point, it's about $16,000. So a lot of people don't really know what goes on as far as into breeding a French Bulldog. They just look at the price is so expensive. And there's really not a lot of money made on the breeding, when you look at the amount of time. You're almost at five or so months before like you're completely finished with the litter and all of the money that goes into that. And now I haven't talked about any of my time or any of the other miscellaneous care things that go in. This is generally just like a lot of my large costs on her litter and things like that just for the breeding. So then there's another set of costs that kind of go into it. Oh, I think I forgot about the food. So we have it averaged out that Rosie is eating about $13.25 a day for 65 days for like the food and all of the extra stuff that we kind of give her we don't just keep her on her regular dog food. We usually give her a really, really good nutrient-rich diet just to make sure she's healthy. Because once she has her litter, she's going to lose a lot of weight, and the puppies themselves are going to take a lot of weight off her. And I just want her to be the healthiest that she could be throughout the entire process. So, you're at $13.25 a day for 65 days. So just for her food costs is $1,656.25. So the estimation is about $16,000 on this litter. And then once the puppies are born, like you have the cost of raising the puppies from birth until 8 to 9 weeks when we let them go over to their new homes. So usually the puppy food at that time is about $200 that we invest into the food. The vaccines are about $250, and then you got the puppy kits, which they go on with the new owners with all these cool things that help them get the dog adjusted. That's about $200. So we're at probably close to $16,500 before we make any money. The average French Bulldog puppy goes for about $4,000. After you take all of that money out, we're at about maybe $7,000 of profitability in like 5 months. So when you really look at that, the amount of money that we make as breeders is not a whole lot. Like, you really have to be passionate about the animal and doing it. Like, for me, it's fun. It is very much so a hobby. Like, my business itself takes care of us pretty well, where like it gave me the opportunity that I can kind of get into something cool, and I really like it. Rosie lives with me. My other females, I have a total of 6 Frenchies. 3 of them live with us, and 3 of them live with family homes that I have, right? So typically, once the dogs get of age, we breed them, and then, barring that there's no problems with the animal during that time. And then when they retire, they stay with the family that they are. We provide all the food and the care. So it's kind of a cool hobby. And the more that I go down this road with it, the more and more that I love the entire process of like the puppies. Like, my favorite thing is usually like the beginning stages of the puppies, right up until they get about 4 weeks. And then at 4 weeks, they're pain. There's a lot of work there. But so just kind of giving you guys the idea. So when you're out searching for a French Bulldog puppy, like, why are they so expensive? That's kind of it. So you figure, like, just off of the information that I gave you, we're at about $16,500 just to breed it. Now, I've never bred any other dogs other than French Bulldogs, but I do know that, like, a lot of the larger breed dogs, the Labs, the Golden Retrievers, they can all do a lot of these. There's a lot of these costs that are associated with them. So typically it's a lot cheaper for the breeder to breed them. But with French Bulldogs, to do it and to do it right, you're going to spend a lot of money before you make one penny. And a lot of these costs you'll never get back. So in the event, you hope and pray that like all of your puppies make it and they don't have any issues, but that's typically what you're going to be up against when you're breeding French Bulldogs. So my name is Rod. I'm here with Blue Star Frenchie. If you guys ever have any questions or anything, feel free to comment. Check us out online at bluestarfrenchie.com. You can check out some of our other videos. There'll be pretty cool content up there about French Bulldog breeding. This is my girl Rosie. We are signing out. She's tired. So thanks a lot, guys. Thanks for tuning in.